Hey, what's up, guys? Listen, breaking news in the David and Celeste 𝐷𝐉𝐻 case. Breaking news in the David and Celeste 𝐷𝐉𝐻 case. And these new facts have everybody second guessing what they knew, how they knew it, and more importantly, who knew what. Let's take it from the top. Let's talk about the way that the medical examiner is now saying that Celeste was found. They're saying that Celeste 𝐷𝐉𝐻's body was found in a frozen state. But more importantly, they're trying to tell us the cause of death may never be determined. You guys, this opens up so many more questions. We'll get into the reports, but we also have to face this. You guys, this was cold. This was calculated. I am now beginning to suspect that David was a serial killer. If Celeste was the first, and I put a heavy emphasis on the first, I do not believe she would have been the last. They need to get him off. This was calculated. This was planned. And I think David thought he got away with it. Now, hear me out. They're saying Celeste 𝐷𝐉𝐻's body has been frozen, and as a result, it looks like the LA County Medical Examiner will not be able to establish a cause of death. Sources directly connected to the investigation tells us. According to those sources, the medical examiner received a body in horrendous condition. It was, and hear me out, it was decapitated, and while the torso was intact, the limbs had been removed and cut into multiple pieces. Now, I know what you're thinking, and if you're not, let me just remind you, David actually made a music video where he killed his girlfriend and cut off her limbs in multiple pieces. It was a cartoon, but still. They said we're told all the body parts were partially frozen and had apparently been thawing out while sitting in the trunk of David's Tesla. This explains why the smell got so strong over days. This explains also her time of death. They said, remember, David's vehicle had not been moved for several days when it was parked on a Hollywood street home near his rental, which resulted in it getting towed with the body being found. But there's more. Hold on. Again, as TMZ reported, Celeste's body was in such bad shape. Initially, investigators did not know if it was male or female. As a matter of fact, they never probably would have even been able to ID her because she was so young. I don't even know if she had dental records. The only thing that helped was her mom. Her mom called TMZ tearful, fearful, praying that it wasn't her daughter but something in her gut. When she heard it said, wait a second. That's how they actually found this out, okay? Let's not forget her mom actually rang the alarm on this. They're saying that when the body was received by the medical examiner's office, the initial determination was this was a victim of an apparent homicide. But our sources say that medical examiner is now having trouble establishing an official manner or cause of death, and it will most likely be undetermined. Okay, first of all, this is bullshit, but it also makes me think that David planned this. To know how, I believe that her body was dismembered because he knew what to do to make an autopsy more hard. I think he never planned on Celeste being able to even be identified, because let's not forget that if Celeste's mom hadn't called, they wouldn't have had any way to cross-reference. She was too young to be in a DNA database. She was too young. And none of her families had gotten samples to the FBI. I believe that. I also believe if you Google it, he Googled freezing a body, what that would do. He Googled how to cut up a body. Let's also not forget he had a sick fetish and a fantasy for gore. Let's not forget. He thought he got away with it. And the sad part is, you guys, he's a suspect. But now that it's been an undetermined cause of death, who knows what's going to happen? They said other sources connected to the investigation tell TMZ that the LAPD's robbery homicide division is viewing Celeste's death as a homicide, thank God. And even if the official cause of death is undetermined, authorities can move forward with an arrest. Again, you guys, David is expected to be arrested in days, not weeks, but days. Okay, TMZ has learned that there is a second suspect who authorities believe helped David by cutting up Celeste. Mark Garagos himself appeared on the Most Two Angry Men podcast, and he said he knows the name of the second suspect, and authorities have told him this person might have been involved before, during, and after Celeste's death. TMZ did break the story. A critical part of the case involves a trip investigators say David took into a remote area of Santa Barbara in the middle of the night back in spring, where he spent hours. They said if Celeste's body was taken to that area months before it was discovered in LA, it seems the operating theory is the body parts were put in some sort of freezer for a long time before it ended up in David's Tesla in midsummer. Listen, again, David's guilty. Everybody knows where the car is. And everybody knows if somebody borrows their car. And the fact that, this is just so disgusting and disturbing. But you guys, we're going to have to start really looking at the evidence. David was a mini serial killer in the making. Nobody has a right to do this to another human being. Especially not someone that you've been in touch with and grooming allegedly since the age of 11. Thank God the police are taking this seriously and they're moving out on this. But again, you guys, we need to talk about David, his gore fetish, and the way that as much as we want to, like, and by we, I mean me, talk trash about the LAPD and their investigation, how is it that all these facts unfolded in a way, and think about it, how is it that all these facts unfolded in a way that makes the crime almost unsolvable? Let me just say this, if Celeste's family had never called TMZ, the police would have no way of connecting this. They couldn't even tell if it was man or woman, human or, they couldn't. So the fact that you mutilated her in a way that made an autopsy and that caused the death very hard, the fact that she was decapitated, just a torso, all these things, the fact that all these things happened and you had her in a trunk ready to throw her away like a pile of trash, waiting, I believe that, here's what I believe happened. I believe that this was planned out. Even the way he kept her covered with a hood. She wasn't even basically allowed to show her face. David did that on purpose. I think he had been planning this for a while. I think he had a gore fetish. And I think for whatever reason, he thought it would suit him. And this was the time to make her disappear. And I think he timed it so that it happened. They held the body in the freezer, and I believe that body was transported to the car, and that car was supposed to be picked up probably by his accomplice to go either to somewhere in the desert or maybe somewhere south of the border or someplace like just like, you know, where nobody's around, and dispose of the body. I think that they were waiting. They were watching the car just to make sure the police weren't monitoring them because everybody was probably super nervous and guilty. And I believe that before they had a chance to get the car, the neighbors called, and once it was in the impound lot, that was it. That was it. Again, the guilt was already there. The fact that you found out Celeste was in your car and you never even called the family, never even offered words of condolences, never said nothing, and nobody in your inner circle said it either, yeah. It's saying something. And the fact that it was mutilated to the point that it made autopsy difficult, but in such a strategic manner, the fact that you had gore fantasies about doing this, the fact that, again, the only thing that stopped this from being an unsolved crime was the fact that it was found in your car. And when Celeste's mom heard it was your car, they called in and said, "That's my daughter." But had it been in just a random abandoned car, not connected to David, this would have never been solved. This would have never been solved. It never would have been found. You guys, David is expected to be arrested in days, not weeks. People want answers, and people want that co-person, that accessory, that accomplice, or maybe the actual murderer. They want to hear names, and they want justice for Celeste, and not just the people that killed her, but the people that sat there while a 20-year-old midget that weighs 90 pounds soaking wet literally exploited this poor little child for everything she had. And when he was done with her, he threw her away like a bag of trash. Like a bag of trash that nobody wanted. Oh, God, it's just disgusting. Anyway, you guys, let me know what you think in the comments. We're going to go live and talk about this tomorrow. Let me know what you think in the comments. I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.